Squadron, Senior Airman Lane J. Husingate. From the 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Devontae R. Jackson. From the 7th Equipment Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Noah A. Kennard. From the 7th Component Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Jacob A. King. From the 317th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Jeremiah Longa. From the 7th Maintenance Group, Senior Airman Alexis K. Milliken. From the 24th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Eric M. Range. From the 7th Munitions Squadron, Senior Airman William L. Solodisco. From the 7th Civil Engineer Squadron, Senior Airman Bailey W. Straub. From the 7th Logistics Readiness Squadron, Lancer Flight's own flight leader, Senior Airman Leah D. Canales. From the 7th Munitions Squadron, Senior Airman Vanessa S. Alvarado. From the 7th Equipment Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Anthony J. Boyce. From the 317th Maintenance Group, Senior Airman Angelique F. Bride. From the 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Jesse A. Carbajo. From the 28th Bomber Generation Squadron, Senior Airman Jaden N. Cephas.
Freedom! Conquer!
From the 317th Maintenance Squadron, Staff Sergeant Manuel A. Diaz Santos.
Cephas.
The 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Cameron J. Fisher. The 317th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Christian S. Foster. From the 489th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Andres Hernandez. From the 9th Bomber Generation Squadron, Senior Airman Aaron Clyde R. Owayan. From the 7th Operational Medical Readiness Squadron, Senior Airman John M. Kibaruthu. From the 7th Component Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Damian Laguna. From the 7th Equipment Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Brody D. Owens. From the 7th Maintenance Group, Senior Airman Colin A. Schneider. From the 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Lior I. Shakar. Now introducing Raider Flight. From the 7th Operations Support Squadron, Senior Airman Liam P. K. Atkinson. From the 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Joshua M. Baird. From the 7th Security Forces Squadron, Senior Airman Olivia A. Brown. From the 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Anthony D. Daly. From the 7th Component Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Craig B. Dillon. From the 28th Bomber Generation Squadron, Senior Airman Benjamin Gutierrez Brandon.
Freedom! Conquer!
From the 317th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Araceli T. Lopez. 317th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Robert A. McCall. From the 7th Civil Engineer Squadron, Senior Airman Raphael Pinal. From the 317th Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Jason J. Kozos Zamarone. From the 9th Bomber Generation Squadron, Senior Airman Michael S. Schmidt. From the 7th Equipment Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Denham W. Shelton. From the 7th Munitions Squadron, Senior Airman Owen M. Sias. From the 7th Operational Medical Readiness Squadron, Senior Airman Nikki K. Smith. From the 317th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, Senior Airman Tyler J. Solazarno. Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation of the Airman Leadership School Diploma to the Levitil Award recipient signifies the culmination of 5 weeks of intense education and training. From the 7th Equipment Maintenance Squadron, Raider Flight's Flight Leader, Senior Airman Benjamin S. Ernest. Colonel Stallworth, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, commanders, instructors, families, friends, and most importantly, graduates. It's a true honor to be asked to speak at your ALS graduation and celebrate this milestone in your military careers. I'd like to start with a special thank you to the ALS Commandant, Master Sergeant Fields. Your continued leadership is critical to the success of each graduate. To our MC today, Staff Sergeant Cobb, thank you for leading this event. And the way that you just swapped out that microphone in the midst of that was awesome. That was off script. Thank you, Senior Airman McNair, our proffer, for keeping things professional and sharp. And thank you, Senior Airman Brown, for that amazing invocation. And whoever pressed play at the right time for the national anthem, spot on. Graduates, today marks the completion of Airman Leadership School, but more importantly, it marks a transition, a shift from focusing primarily on your own performance to being responsible for the performance, development, and well-being of those around you and behind you. So first off, congratulations. Completing ALS is a milestone in your career, and you should be proud of the work and effort that brought you here. You made it through the early mornings, the speeches, the projects, and the moments where you were probably wondering how many more discussion posts a single course could possibly require. But beneath all of that, ALS is really about one thing, preparing you for leadership. Leadership is an interesting concept. People tend to think of it as authority, position, or experience. But over time, I've come to believe leadership is largely about influence. I remember a single definition that my college ROTC instructor gave us young cadets. He would say, "Team, it's simple. Leadership is about how you get your troops to do things that they may not want to do." Now, that may sound very simple, but in practice, the art of motivating and influencing large teams and small teams alike is challenging, to say the least. The other day, I was listening to a podcast called The Leadership Buzz. The podcast talked about the whole team's dynamic can change when a new leader shows up. A new leader has the opportunity, and I would argue the mandate, to help teams work smarter, more efficiently, and more confidently together. The podcast introduced the idea that great leaders amplify the abilities of the people around them, thus making the team stronger and more effective. This amplification of talent occurs not because the leader controls everything or always has the answer, but because they create an environment where people are confident enough to contribute. But let's be real. I think we've all seen both sides of this. We've seen leaders who answer every question, solve every problem, and dominate every conversation. At first, it may feel productive, but eventually people stop talking. They stop taking ownership. They stop thinking out loud because they know the answer is already going to come from someone else. They know the answer is going to come from the top. This is the example of a toxic work environment where growth is stifled. On the other hand, you've probably seen the opposite as well. Leaders who challenge people to think, leaders who trust their teams enough to let them work through the problems, leaders who create confidence instead of dependency, leaders who allow subordinates to make mistakes and learn from them. And over time, this is the type of team that will grow. The podcast went on to describe Bobby Orr of the Boston Bruins as an example of great leadership. Bobby Orr played NHL hockey in the late 60s and mid-70s. When Orr joined the Bruins, they were one of the worst teams in the NFL. But after several years of his leadership and influence, the Bruins completely turned around. Orr was named NHL First Team All-Star Team 8 years in a row. But you know what made him special? It wasn't how awesome he was on the ice. It was the effect he had on everyone around him. While he revolutionized the game of hockey in Boston, players around him became more confident, more aggressive, and more capable. Eventually, that struggling Boston Bruin team became two-time Stanley Cup champion. This example stuck with me because it reinforces an important truth about leadership. Great leaders do not just perform well individually. They elevate the team around them. So how did he elevate them? I'd offer three things. Number one, positive reinforcement. He encouraged and rewarded his team when they did things correctly. Number two, command presence. He presented ideas, thoughts in a confident, composed, and articulate manner. And number three, team-oriented approach. His leadership philosophy was centered on accountability and creating cohesion. That's what right looks like. Another leadership idea that stayed with me over time was the book that Simon Sinek wrote back in 2009, titled Start With Why. In short, the book discusses the concept of emphasizing purpose to teams. One thing Sinek points out that most organizations naturally want to focus on what they do. Microsoft develops software. Apple creates iPods. Six Flags provides theme park experience. In the Air Force, the what comes naturally to us because our environment's built around tasks, timelines, standards, and mission execution. We become very good at explaining what needs to happen and how it needs to happen. Sinek's idea stood out to me. His argument was that strong leaders start somewhere deeper than that. They start with the why. Effective leaders are the ones who connect daily work to a larger purpose. The leaders create understanding, not just compliance. Over time, this matters because people are far more committed to a mission when they understand how they contribute to it. Leadership is not only about directing people toward a task. Leadership is about creating belief in the value of the work being done and helping people understand how they contribute to something larger than themselves. These types of actions are what can positively impact organizational culture. And as leaders, culture is what you are responsible for cultivating. You'll note that our 7th Bomb Wing Cultures and Priorities slide does not have a list of tasks. The slide instead describes what organizational culture we are striving for: mission focus, relationship cultivation, professionalism, discipline, etc. So if you haven't done this drill of mapping your why, I'd highly recommend it. Let me give you a quick example. Start with a young LRS troop, let's say a ground transportation specialist, or in common parlance, a bus driver. Their daily task is to drive different demographics of people around the base: DVs, air crew to jets, wing personnel to a fog walk. Why? Why do we need a fog walk? Answer: to ensure the ramp and airfield are clear of debris, trash, and metal objects. Why? Why does that even matter that our operating areas are clear? Answer: because we're flying training sorties here almost every day, and the safe execution of those lines is paramount to the 7th Bomb Wing's success. Why? Why do we need to fly training sorties? Answer: because the 7th Bomb Wing commander's #1 priority, and rightfully so, is to be ready to fight tonight. Why? Why must we have that level of readiness? Answer: because your Secretary of War has made preparing for the conflict against China the Joint Forces' #1 priority. Why? Why is preparing for war our #1 priority? Answer: because the President of the United States has clearly articulated that safety, security of the American people is the most important job of the U.S. military. So you see, at the end of the day, we're all called to work together to ensure the safety, security of the millions of Americans outside of these walls. That is your why. That is our why. Now, I fully acknowledge that each of you may have additional whys. In fact, in speaking with you yesterday, some of you explained being motivated by job security, a sense of patriotism, an urge to continue your family's legacy, financial reasons, and the opportunity to travel. Regardless, whatever your why, my point remains the same. You should understand them and channel that knowledge and understanding towards success. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, why am I rambling up here about podcasts and leadership books? The answer is pretty simple. One of the most important lessons I've learned through my career is that good leaders never stop learning. The day leaders believe they already have all the answers is when they stop growing. And when leaders stop growing, eventually the teams around them stop growing. So throughout my career, some of the best leadership lessons I've learned did not come from a formal class. They came from conversations, books, and experiences